How's it going, everyone? I'm back with another reaction. Today we're going to be reacting to another video from Haunted Autopsy. I was looking around at their channel and there's actually a lot of good videos, but right now we're going to be looking at the case of Mark Ackett, a student's worst nightmare. So I just did like literally a 2-second Google search just to search his name and see the first few searches to see what they say. And let me just say, this dude, like, I don't know what happened to him, but whatever he gets, hopefully he gets something. He deserved it. This dude is like next level insane, nasty. You'll see. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, let's get into the video.
Have you ever gone into a fitting room and get this odd feeling that there's a hidden camera somewhere watching you change? Truth be told, this is a common fear for most people, but for the students at Bloomingdale High School, that fear became real.
Ex-Bloomingdale teacher pleads guilty to secretly recording student. Okay, sentencing next month. You can see the rest.
In 1991, Mark Ackett started working for the Hillsborough School District. In 2006, he was hired as an assistant principal at Bloomingdale High, but left in 2009 when he was promoted to an administration job at the district supervisor of attendance. After some time, he returns in 2017 and became a girls track coach and a fashion design teacher at the same school. According to the students, Mark said that he became a fashion design teacher because he thought fashion was calling him. He was liked by the students and they felt safe around him. He was said to be well-spoken.
It's always the teachers that students feel safe around. Like, I'm not gonna say too much, but whenever I was in high school a few years ago, there was this sort of scandal. I guess I don't know if you can call it a scandal, but I'm gonna call it a scandal. Or there was this teacher who was sleeping with the students, and yeah, and then boom, they left. The teacher, not the students. Like, out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, but like it seemed like out of left field. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's always the ones that the students feel comfortable with. That's what's crazy.
And seemed to care a lot about his students. He's a married man with 2 teenage boys. No one had anything negative to say about him. But that would soon change on the following school year. On September 11, 2018. A 17-year-old girl was changing in a dressing area inside a fashion design classroom. The student noticed 2 boxes on a shelf with one of them having a light coming from it. That's when she found the cell phone, and when she flipped it over to see the screen, she noticed that it was recording. She even found the second phone as well. She immediately told the school's principal, who when she found the cell phone, 2 boxes on a shelf with one of them having a light coming from it. That's when she found the cell phone, and when she flipped it over to see the screen, she noticed that it was recording. She even found the second phone as well. She immediately told the school's principal, who then notified the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Authorities quickly questioned Mark, and he didn't even try to deny it. He admitted to everything. He said that he had been secretly recording his students from his fashion design class since January 2017, the year he returned. Mark gets arrested and was able to bail out.
See, he admitted to recording them. He hid 2 cell phones in a box.
2 days later. After doing so, he quits his job. The police then arrested him again in October 2018. He was charged of video voyeurism on school property as a school employee, production of harmful material of a minor, and possession of child pornography. This time he couldn't bail out, as his bail,
okay, as it should. It should be higher. It should be like $20 million.
Was $2 million. Investigators went through his phone, his computer, including going through his Google accounts and other digital devices such as 3 digital cameras, 2 storage cards, and multiple thumb drives that were found in his school's desk. They ended up finding hundreds more videos and pictures of his young underage students undressing. The students range in ages 14 to 18 and were in various stages of undress at the school. The videos even showed Mark setting up the cameras, adjusting them, and coming back inside the dressing room to stop the recording. That same week of his first arrest back in September, 2 former students of his had come out to say that they're afraid that they might be victims as well. Both Emily and Chase were students of his during the 2017 school year. Emily had said that she was never skeptical of him. She even goes on to say that he was a genuine guy and one of her favorite teachers as well, so she was shocked to hear a teacher that she really liked to get arrested for something like this. The other student, Chase, said she never got a creepy vibe from him and now feels uncomfortable because she said she had changed in that room many times, sometimes fully undressed as well. They both believe that they were manipulated by him. Emily recalls that Mark had made a dress for her and asked if she could try it on. She kindly declined, but Mark tells her, "But I worked so hard on it for you." This made her feel bad, so she ended up putting it on.
Damn, that is pretty weird. What the fuck?
She also brings up one segment of the senior survival class involved making men's boxer shorts. Each student had to try on shorts of different sizes so they knew which size to make. Mark would make dresses, shorts, and tops for her and another girl throughout the school year. Mark had gotten Chase to try on a romper that he made for her and told her to change. The two mentioned that Mark would go out of his way to make them feel comfortable. That, and he would also be careful and seem to watch his words. For instance, he had the students measure each other because Mark told the students, "I'm not trying to be the creepy teacher who touches girls."
This dude really, that's crazy, bro. That's like, does that count as manipulative? Can't even talk. I'm gonna cut that out. Does that even count as manipulative, or is that something a whole different level? That's crazy.
When Chase first heard the news, she immediately thought, was that why he seemed to care about me? Because he was videotaping me? Was that why he picked me for his romper project? What made this more disturbing for Emily is that Mark has even told her that he sees her as his daughter, and she questioned if he could really tell her all of that and still record her undressing. What worries the girls even more is the possibility of Mark sharing these videos to others, or worse, if those videos had made it to the internet. At the end of the school year, Mark had typed a farewell letter to his students. They were all given one and all were the same except for Emily's letter. He left in a handwritten note where he calls her one of the most toughest, most disciplined young people I've ever known. She kept that letter as it was special to her. She tucked it into her yearbook as a keepsake. But now, with Mark arrested and charged for recording his students, that note now makes her sick anytime she reads it. Emily has even stated at the beginning of the school year she did check the room for cameras as a precaution, but she never found anything.
No way.
Either Mark didn't place a phone that day, or Emily didn't look hard enough. Both former students said that even if Mark never recorded them, they still feel betrayed by their former teacher who they really thought cared about them as students, not as objects to fulfill his sick fantasies. On April 1st, 2021, Mark pleaded guilty to 323 counts.
Oh, wait, it said, okay, on the article I said on the article that I saw online, it said 2004, but it says 2021.
Of video voyeurism. It was found out that he had 125 victims in total. 124 of them were students, and the other was an adult employee. He also pleaded guilty to 27 counts from an unrelated video voyeurism case not connected to his teaching positions. This was something he did at his home. You see, he hosted Bible studies at his home and had set up cameras there as well. The devices contained videos of nothing but underage girls as well. 13 instances where the victims were under the age of 16. Those 13 counts are second-degree felonies. The other 14 are third-degree felonies. Mark is now facing a maximum of 15 years of prison.
Wait, that's it? 15 years? After all that, the maximum is 15 years. Not life or double life or anything else?
For each second-degree felony, and up to 5 years for each third-degree felony.
Oh, never mind. I'm just told. I need to just let him talk. That's never mind. Yeah.
Mark decided to take an open plea, which means he's leaving his fate to the judge. The judge would determine if some or all the sentences would run concurrently or consecutively. Mark couldn't handle hearing his charges. It was said when the prosecution read a summary of his crimes, he lowered his gaze and closed his eyes.
Consecutive.
A month later, on May 10th, Mark is sentenced to 15 years in prison.
Wait, that's it? 15 years?
Good evening, Jen. Well, Mark Ackett was a teacher at Bloomingdale High School. He taught fashion design, and he was a coach for the girls' track team. But in 2018, a 17-year-old student found a recording device in a dressing room that led Hillsborough County deputies to find hundreds of recordings of victims where Ackett set up cameras to capture them undressing in school and in a couple of instances at his home. The judge just pronounced sentence in the case. Ackett was facing more than 300 years in prison for all of the crimes and all of the offenses that he had been charged with. The judge, however, found that since the state was asking for only 15 years in prison, she agreed with them. The defense had asked for 0 time in prison. However, the judge ruled because there were so many victims in this case that he must serve some time.
They really wanted 0 years in prison? For real?
Behind bars. So the judge ruled 15 years in prison with credit for time served, and that he will be in probation for the rest of his life and must register as a sexual offender. There are a number of special conditions with that probation, but essentially this means that Ackett will serve far less time than some are hoping for, but he will serve at least 12 to 15 years in prison. Jen?
During the sentencing, his friends, fellow church members, neighbors, and his wife of almost 30 years begged the judge to show Mark some mercy.
Mercy? Bro, she's a woman and she's saying this. Come on,
They
man.
hoped that the judge would be lenient in their sentencing decision. Mark would also lower his head, swallowing hard, and just staring at his apology letter. His attorney asked for a maximum of 3 years and time on probation, promising that Mark would continue seeking treatment, but the judge said no. Mark was given the chance to read his apology letter to his victims.
For a long time you've wanted to address your victims but were unable to do so, so this is your opportunity if there's anything that you would like to say to them.
I want to say to my victims that I have read every impact statement that you've written because I wanted to truly hear your feelings and try to feel what you're going through.
You see his little swing back and forth? That's a coping mechanism. He's lying through his teeth.
I found truth in those statements, and they caused me to come face to face with how broken I was. I know that what I did was inexcusable and very possibly for many of you unforgivable. I ask for your forgiveness, even knowing that I do not deserve it. I wish I could go back and change what I did or do something to make amends, but I know that I cannot. Some of you confided in me your fears and problems, and many of you considered my classroom a safe place. I know that I may not deserve your forgiveness, but I beg you to forgive me.
What? This dude is crazy though. No, actually, I don't want to watch all this. I'm sorry, guys.
Thank you, Your Honor, for letting me share what's been on my heart for a very long time.
Okay, now we can hear the victims. This is what I really wanted to hear. I really don't care what this guy has to say, just because he's a POS, you know what I'm saying?
Eva Appleby was the first to speak out. She's the one employee that Mark had recorded. She'd worked with him for 12 years when he was an assistant principal. Eva shared how shocked she was and the disbelief she felt when she heard that she was the only adult employee at the school who he recorded. She described it as getting punched in the stomach. What Mark did was not an isolated lapse of judgment, but calculated and deliberate criminal acts. Mark groomed and chose his victims, gaining their trust and then taking advantage. The parents whose daughter was 15 at the time said that their daughter can't trust the school system, teachers, or even the coaches. They said their daughter is now having a hard time trusting anyone. Some of the victims in the courtroom said anything less than life in prison would be a free pass.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
They even shared their anger when they found out that Mark was bailed out by his mother. They said they were scared that they would bump into him after learning that he was allowed to stay home with his family while awaiting trial. Some of his victims would mention that they struggle with depression and anxiety. One of his victims that was on the track team had completely quit. Another victim, who was a 12-year-old girl at the time and attended Bible studies at Mark's home, had stopped going to church completely. She tells Mark, "I hope you get the help you need because you need help, and I hope that one day I can see you in heaven. But I think you need nothing less than the maximum sentence for everything you've done to us."
Damn, that girl's smart.
To make matters worse is that these victims had to watch the videos or pictures of themselves getting undressed to be able to identify themselves. One victim said she had to spend her dad's birthday in a room with 2 sheriff's deputies identifying pictures of her naked. Another victim said she spent the first day of her senior year of college to attend Mark's sentencing. She said, "I went back to my dorm feeling disgusted and violated, and as if someone was watching me. I remember I felt like I had to take a shower, but when I entered the shower stall, I was fully clothed, and that's how I shower now, sitting on the ground in my clothes until I can build up enough courage to undress." Fox was able to speak with one of the victims, and you can hear from her tone how damaging it was to her.
Really hard for me and upsetting.
I mean, were you completely nude?
Most of them I had my bra and underwear on, but there was one where I had my bra off and you saw it.
She says the violation of privacy never goes away.
Recently when I went to the mall with my friends, I was kind of scared to go in the changing room.
What do you do now in the dressing room?
Kind of look for cameras and make sure there's nothing there.
Now Ackett is headed to prison soon. His former student left to deal with a harsh life lesson.
How could you do this? Because you seem like such a great teacher. We trusted you and now you broke that trust.
Gloria Gomez, Fox.
Ruben Drake, Mark's cognitive behavioral therapist, told the court that in his 53 counseling sessions with Mark since his arrest, his clinical opinion is that he isn't a threat to the community, he's not a pedophile, and that Mark is dedicated and
Did he say he's not a pedophile?
Opinion is that he isn't a threat to the community, he's not a pedophile, and that Mark is dedicated and capable of being able to control himself from his compulsions. He goes on to say that Mark isn't a threat because his fantasies never went as far as touching them, but the thrill of secretly watching them, and that Mark's shame and remorse
That is a threat.
is overwhelming. He adds that Mark did have a childhood trauma that led to this sort of fantasy of him getting satisfied with secretly recording people. He says that Mark knew he had a problem and needed help, but didn't know how to go about it without risking his job, his freedom, and his family's reputation. No one is believing this. Eva had said that if it wasn't for the 17-year-old girl who caught Mark's phone recording her, he would have never been caught and this act would have continued. He is an excellent actor, having fooled us and his very own family for years, acting like he cared, like he respected us, but instead we found out that it was a big act. Mark is currently serving his sentence at the Central Florida Reception Center, and his release date is set at February 25th, 2036. As for the students at Bloomingdale High, they refer to that dressing room as the Room of Horrors.
Alright guys, so that was the case of Mark Ackett. As y'all can see, that dude was really grimy and disgusting, as I told y'all before. But I'm not satisfied that he got 15 years. Honestly, he should have just spent the rest of his life in prison. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Tell me how long y'all think he should have gotten, But thank y'all for watching. I'm gonna leave a link to the original video in the description. Don't forget to check it out and subscribe if you liked the video. Thank y'all for watching. Have a good day.